your hips, that will happen naturally when you go faster. Okay? It's impossible to go fast like this, right? And it's also impossible to go fast like this. I just want you to cover ground, because the first and third day we worry about the speed. Second and fourth day, we can worry about all the other good stuff. So, side shuffle, cover ground. It's going to be real quick, but it's not that big of a deal. Good, great. Got it. Next group, experimentation is good. Karaoke, same idea now. We just cover more ground, don't worry about the knees, kicking up high and over, good stuff. That's for another thing completely. Good enough. Okay. Now we do skips for height, skips for distance. We'll start with skips for height. When I first do it, it's going to be nice and relaxed. I want the body to flow through. I'm not telling it what to do. If you don't know how to skip, learn, be good relaxed at it. Okay? Go. Good, coming back. Nice and relaxed. Let your foot roll all the way through on the ground. Good. Skips for distance now. You're going to get one or two, that's okay. Nice. Stay able to float a little bit. Good, 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 good. Okay. You can also do more sport-specific stuff for football, and I'm sure for soccer this would be of value to you as well. Just a nice, easy back pedal, and then turning. Okay, and the emphasis is not on so much the footwork as it is figuring out how should my footwork go that's actually going to let me get smoothly around, if that makes sense. Okay, and you may find some things that you didn't really know about your body before. So I'll leave you guys to figure that out on your own. But in essence, the warm-up that we do on Mondays and Thursdays is just to get the body moving more efficiently, get your nervous system ready for the explosive. Okay. With the dumbbell power clean, basically it's not going to be a huge mass builder for you. Okay, you're not going to get huge quads. You're not going to put on 10 pounds with this, but what you are going to get is ridiculously explosive in your hips. Okay, we use this instead of the barbell for our power cleans because I don't know about you, but with these long legs, all I ever did with the dumbbell, with the barbell, was bang into my legs and have to worry about form all the time. Okay, with the dumbbells, all you have to do is sit down in a chair and then jump straight up and figure out how to catch them. Okay, you don't even really have to catch them in order to get something out of it. Right? The point is that you jump and then just not hurt yourself when you land. So, figure that out, okay? Rob's going to show them real briefly. I'm going to emphasize a few main points that you're going to want to keep in mind. First of all, the way he's standing right here looks really relaxed. That's how I want you, because this is what we call the jump stance, okay? Legs are straight up and down. When I want you to start running like this, then you can start putting your legs out for the dumbbell power clean. But right now, you just want them straight up and down because that's where they're going to be when you're running. Okay? And then when you catch, you go a little bit wider, but essentially you want to land in about the same stance that you would when you're playing defense, regardless of whatever sport you're in. Okay? If you're playing defense way out here, you're not very mobile. Okay? If you're playing defense in here, you're out of balance, right? So I want to strike the happy medium, and it just so happens to be same stance that Rob should drop into naturally on the dumbbell power clean. So hit a few reps and we'll pick apart if we need to. Go ahead. So he's going to sit down. He's not too worried about getting down to some prescribed depth. He just gets himself in a good athletic position and comes back up. Go ahead and do 2 or 3 more. Okay, good. First few times you do it, you're gonna be tempted to bring the dumbbells way out here. Let me have Rob do 2 more where you just focus on what his arms look like. Okay, his arms, and more importantly, his shoulders are coming up and back so that his arms can stay relaxed right here. And he's not pulling the weight up with his arms. It's just flopping up because his arms are just like cables. He's slingshotting things up on his shoulders. Do 2 more where they're looking at your arms specifically, and then we'll let them rumble. Go ahead. One more. Deal. Okay. Give it a try. We'll poke around and see how we do. Every one of us is going to have something that we got to work on form-wise. Okay, I want you to worry about it to the point where you can do a basic exercise. Okay, so if you're pitched forward like this all the time, you're going to be like that in your sport. Okay, every time you try to get in a stance, and you are going to injure yourself eventually. Maybe not right away, but eventually. Okay? If, on the converse, you're always sitting back on your heels like this, it's the same thing. Okay, you're going to be out of position, you're going to injure yourself eventually. But don't freak out about it the first night. Okay? This will apply to the squat, but if you're having a hard time, pretty much any time that you need to drop yourself into an athletic position, that way. Get yourself balanced, okay, so you feel the center of gravity through the whole foot, right down the middle, okay, not forward, not super on the heels, just balanced, okay, comfortable, and then you're just going to grab something right in front of you and let yourself sit down, keep your chest up. Your head doesn't need to be like this unless that's specific to your sport. That's, I guess, basketball rebounds. That's about the only thing I can think. Okay? But I'm just going to go down here nice and relaxed, holding on to something until I just feel comfortable here. Okay? And I may need to spend a few days doing that, but eventually my muscles will loosen up, my brain will figure out what I'm supposed to do. You should be good to go from there. Okay? So let's go around one more time. See if some of that will help you get a little better. Okay, any questions on that? Good. I'm going to show you a few variations that you can do with this, and some philosophy of why and how we do this. I have you doing lightweight, obviously, to begin with, so you can worry about the form. As soon as your form is good, you can start going up in the weight as long as the form is good. Okay. As soon as your knees start doing this stuff, or that you start pitching forward or backwards, back off for a week. Okay, just use slightly lighter weight, not half, just slightly lighter. Get your form in, and then you can bump it back up again. In general, if you're just looking for brute explosiveness, okay, maybe not like I need to get an extra inch on my stride, more, you know, I'm in here and I need to bang around with guys, whether it's soccer or basketball or football. And I'm just getting banged around. We'll grab the heavier dumbbells every few weeks and just force them up. Okay? Otherwise, you want to use a weight that allows you to actually get off the ground. Okay? If you're using a weight that's super heavy and all you get is this and barely beat it back down, then you're not necessarily going to lengthen your stride and increase your speed, but you might increase your physicality in the close range. Moving your body around and moving the other guy's body around next to you. Okay, so you just kind of got to figure out sets and rep numbers, what do you need out of that. Okay, so when we talk about vertical jumps, you can use something like I'll have guys use the wall up here or in the entrance. Bottom line is, I think you need something that you can measure yourself against. Okay, because you're going to go for a week or so where you don't see any results. And then all of a sudden you come in and it's going to be 3 inches more than you've ever done before in your life. Right? And when you do that, you need to stop that day. Okay? Just warning you, because you'll get that extra 3 inches and you're going to be so excited you're going to want to just keep going, right? And you think about it this way: if I've never jumped this high and all of a sudden I'm jumping 3 inches higher, it's like doing a 1 rep max squat. You've done a little bit of muscle damage, and if you keep pushing it that day, you're going to keep doing more. Okay? So the same idea with the warm-up, we did the shuffling, the karaoke, and we just kind of ramp up the intensity. We're going to do the same thing with the vertical. So my first set of jumps, I'm going to get in my jump stance, feet straight up and down. I'll have something here that I'm jumping on, either the wall up there, or you can jump on the walls out into the fitness center gym where you've got a line that you can measure yourself against. And I just go up nice and easy. Okay? I'm getting on the first few sets. Okay? When I say the first few sets, I'm going to go through that whole progression 2 or 3 times before I ever get a maximal jump. Okay? I'm I'm just going to go nice and relaxed here. I'm just feeling the body, making sure that it's going in a straight line. Okay? If I've got stuff going on like this, where my legs are flopping out and I'm all jerking around, I'm not efficient. Okay? And that'll transfer, inefficiency transfers over to everything you do. So if I can get efficient at a vertical jump, odds are pretty good that I'm going to be able to be more efficient at a lot of other things. Okay? Or at least I'll learn the process for learning how to be efficient at everything else. Okay? Sport-specific skills, sprinting, change of direction, all that stuff. Okay? So I want you to do one set of vertical jumps. Do about 3. I think 3 is all I have on there. Okay? When I say 3, I don't mean like this. It's not a conditioning workout. Okay? It's relaxed. Shake it out if you need to. Okay? Go another one. Boom. And I'm going about 80% on that first set. Okay? So go ahead. I'm not going to coach this much, obviously, but just so you get the feel for the relaxed method we're using. And as we go, odds are good you'll feel yourself getting a little bit more explosive. I'm gonna be holding down his heels. I'm gonna have to put a pretty good amount of weight into him because he's good at these. Been spending a lot of time on him. The idea is he's gonna go down basically in a push-up position and pop right back up. Okay? He's gonna use as much upper body push as he needs to in order to actually get an explosive return. Okay, so that first one, in my opinion, was too slow for what we're trying to do. Okay, on a strength-based day where you want to kind of slow push everything up, maybe then you do it a little bit slower. But I want him to really bounce back up. Okay, quicker is better on this one. All right. He's almost to the point too where he can do one going all the way down without his hands. It's just really slow. Okay, so you have to know again, what is my purpose in everything that I'm doing? Am I trying to train speed? Okay, or am I trying to train pure force output? Right? In this one, if I'm doing speed, I want to be pretty quick, and the first few times, I'm going to feel like all I'm doing is a big old push-up. Okay, that's okay. It comes pretty quickly if you do it right, meaning if you don't obliterate your hamstrings on the first week. Okay, so we'll have the biggest thing that you're going to need to watch is that it's natural the first few times to do this deal. Okay, hips come up first, and then the upper body. It's got to be ready. It's got to be the whole deal. So you almost have to commit your hips first, okay? It's as if you're trying to roll through like a ball on the front, okay? Right here, I let the hips go down first, and then everything comes later, okay? And this isn't part of this workout, but just for you guys that are into the core strength deal, make sure that in addition to all this stuff, you also get the full back arch, okay? And then football guys are doing this deal. I'll challenge you to do this deal. See if you can roll straight over your chest, okay? If you don't commit the hips though, you end up like this, just catching yourself. But if you can roll the hips all the way through, now you can come up into the arch. Come up in the arch. That way. Something for you to try. It only took me until like 2 years ago. But it's because nobody taught me. Big coaching point with this that most people don't realize. Go ahead. When he goes down, I'm going to see where all the motion is. He's pretty good because he's practiced it. His motion is in his hips, not here. Okay, see how flat that is? It's not bowed over. Bowed over once just so they can see. Okay, now he's bowed over. Most people, when they first do this, they don't trust their hamstrings, and for good reason, because most of us don't have good hamstrings until we've done this a while. So he comes back up. When he comes down again, he locks this in until he gets all the way down. If he wants to round it at the bottom, that's okay. But for this part up here, This is basically all the motion is at the hips. Okay. And when he comes up, he can come up a little bit farther if he wants to. Most of you, when you first started, you're not going to be able to come back up to this. It's just not going to. You're going to tear something. But you can work into that as you go. So how far can you go up? So he comes most of the way up. When he goes back down, let me give you this as a coaching point. It's very important that you adjust this whole thing to where you need to be. If this is too far forward, then you can't roll your hips. Okay? It's going to be uncomfortable when you're doing it right the first few times because you have to put this back a ways and take all the weight on your thighs and your upper knee. But eventually you get used to it. Okay? So anybody want to jump on here? Side drop? So yeah, I'll make jump on there. We'll make sure. Yeah, let's shove go forward. Let's see. Do one or two. We'll see. Can't really show over here. Okay. See how this is bending right away? That's what we got to avoid. Let's jump off. How to meander this thing here too. Okay, jump back on. Yeah, we're good now. We're good now. Just gonna hit you with it. Okay. Better. See how he's locked this in, but you're not really able to go much further than that. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. Good. Okay, come back up. Okay, good. Most guys, the first few times, have to literally sit here and like get their hamstrings and glutes to relax. But that's okay. He's pretty solid. Okay. The biggest thing you can do for yourself if you don't have a partner in here, just put your hand on your back. Okay. Hand back there, and you're just going to make sure that that stays the way it is right now. Okay. Feel that? You felt when you were tempted to roll over, right? Yeah. So you're just basically going to attack. You're just going to keep trying to ease a little bit further into it before it rolls. Okay. So the first few weeks, I may not actually get to where I'm all the way hanging down. Okay, but that's okay because I can have a partner help me up. Right? I don't need to be carrying plates and all that good stuff, but we're talking a month or two if you do it right. This is a big set of muscles back here, okay? And if you don't injure them, they like to work. And so the good news is within a month or two, you're gonna be hoisting the 25s, maybe even the 45s, or if you're talking about speed, which I hope you are, you're gonna need somebody to stand back here because you're going to start rocketing up on this thing. Are you ready to do that? I would, but I didn't like riding today. I'm a wrestler. I'm afraid of the So he's really going to pop up out of there. Okay. The cool thing to do is to throw weight on him and have him do that, but then he ends up just strengthening his lower back, and he's going to be the same speed that he was. All of his life before this. I want you to get more explosive. So I prefer to increase the speed and explosiveness of it and then start adding weight. Okay? But that's just me. So, and that wasn't me 8 years ago when I was slow. I changed my mind. Let's sit back, nice and easy, just relax jump. Okay? And I'm gonna use a floor like this when I can for padding and also because it gives me instant feedback about where I am. So I'm just going to line up my toes here. And I just kind of keep track of where I'm landing from one day to the next. And this is the weight room that I used when I literally added 1.5 foot onto my vertical in about 3 months. Or, not my vertical. Vertical is only a foot. But the standing long jump went crazy too. And it was really frankly bizarre because I went from tons of hours in the weight room, always finishing with the bodybuilder style, exhaustion, if you will, to basically instead of being hour and a half long workouts with nothing but sweat and screaming, went to 30-minute workouts where I literally made myself go home as soon as I got tired. But that's because I realized I didn't have the speed to get to where I wanted to go. So, are you going to work the conditioning aspect of it first and then the speed, or speed and then the conditioning? That's really up to you. You figure it out. The cool thing is you can alternate them and get the best of both worlds. But the first time through, we're just going to do the standing verticals, nice and relaxed. You're teaching your body how to work together is basically what it is. So, I don't know that we necessarily need to try that, so let's keep moving. Box jumps, okay? So, a plyometric is when you stretch the muscle and it immediately exerts force, okay? This is just stretching, okay? The hamstrings that we did it's stretching and I'm also contracting against it, but it's not fast enough to be a true plyometric, okay? Sprinting, on the other hand, is a true plyometric because as I'm pushing into the ground, I'm also stretching everything here. I'm stretching this, I'm stretching the quads, I'm stretching the glutes, I'm even stretching the low back, all the muscles that go here. Okay? Every muscle is, as it's exerting force, it's also being stretched because it's having the force against itself as well. So when I put the foot in the ground to sprint, you don't see it in real time because you don't have a video camera slow enough. But when the foot hits the ground, it doesn't, see how my feet keep flexing no matter what I do? That happens when you're sprinting too, okay? Even though you're not thinking, catch, and then push, okay? We do that for the glute ham, we do it even for the standing lung jump, okay? I lower my hips, and then I go very quickly, but not quickly enough into the jump to actually have it be a plyometric, okay? The sprinting is punch, I get a little bit of flex, but I also get that extension. Okay? I'm trying to mimic a sprint with our box jumps. Okay? This, super good for you because it teaches you how to work your whole body at the same time. It also teaches you how to start. Okay? So when you first start your sprint and come out of a stance, it's good for you. Okay? Because you don't have the bounce. But when you're sprinting, you're not lowering yourself and then taking off. You're just putting the foot in the ground and either something snaps or you go forward. One of the two has to happen. Okay? So the same thing with the box springs is what we'll call them, just so you know what we're talking about. When I do the box spring, I don't start on the ground, I start here so that I can spring immediately off the ground. And I don't cushion and then come back up, okay? Because I might as well have just started on the ground. Then we've done this, okay? I'm going to just bounce, okay? So, let me ask you again. Plyometric or not? Jumping rope?
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. Skipping. Plyometric?
Yes. No.
A little bit. A little bit.
I'll count those correct.
Yeah, but mostly it's just, it's the equivalent of a jog, which is definitely not a bike. Okay? So you have to have this idea of rebounding as opposed to absorbing and then exerting force. Okay? I've got to have a punch. So I'm not pushing in my fall. I'm actually trying to time it so that when my foot gets right about here, I'm already pushing, which is the same thing I do when I sprint. So we use low boxes at the beginning because most of you have never done anything like this, and I don't want to see what a snapped Achilles tendon looks like. So we start with the low boxes. We also, especially for guys in the preseason who are already tired anyway and have never done this before, we just throw a plate down. Okay. You can do one-legged plyometrics on that, especially since I have yet to meet anybody who can the first day just come out here and do that. Okay? Because it's tough. So, Same thing as the other ones. Anytime we're working with a plyometric or explosive exercise, I want to cut it off at 6 at the most. Okay? And then we'll just come back for another set. But odds are good you're not going to need more than 3 or 4 a day. And you can do a lot of days in a row if you're not in season, but there's really no need to. Okay? Your nervous system picks this up pretty quick. And if you do too many, now you start messing with your tendons and ligaments if you go too gonzo. Okay? Football guys, you should be able to answer this for me. How do you know when the box is too high? 2 things, basically. One is
Bend your knees. Keep it on.
yeah, if I have to cushion the landing, so if I have to be like this, that's too high, or I'm just doing it wrong. Okay, what's the other big thing?
You can't jump that high back on the box.
Yeah, I'll take. Good. Yeah. So if I'm doing this, you know, I don't spend any time on the ground, but I don't really actually jump anywhere. You know, coaches like this for conditioning. Let's do 20 of these, right? I mean, it's good for body control and getting you tired. But in a sport where you have to move your whole body somewhere, that's a completely different exercise, okay? If I'm doing this, I'm basically teaching these muscles to relax and let my hips get up underneath myself without changing my center of gravity, right? But if I'm sprinting, I've got to use all these muscles in a very, very different way. So I want to be able to tell my muscles how to basically go from being a noodle to a stick, okay? Like a pogo stick. So when I jump, I'm trying to essentially hit the ground standing straight up, and I'm going to try to hit the box standing straight up again. Okay? It's not always going to happen. So I know some of you guys that have been at it a while, those boxes over there, you're going to be bouncing off of those right back on. And that's where you need to get to. Okay? This one, where you come off of one box and go immediately onto the other one. Okay? But I wanted to be able to train. I was actually specifically training for the standing long jump, trying to increase that, and I felt like I'm loading my hips backwards, I'm also going to jump backwards and then go forward. So you figure out what's most valuable for you. Backwards and then forwards, forwards and then forwards, forwards, sideways, sideways, and then sideways, all that good stuff. What is specific to your sport and your position? Knock yourself out, okay? The other thing that I would tell you, you'll find this out after about a month or 2, you're going to get very, very explosive top-end speed by doing these. But if you don't do some where you crouch down like that, you're going to feel very, I guess, wishy-washy down in this position. Okay, you're going to want to change direction, and you're going to feel like you don't have any pop, like you're a little bit sluggish. So you're just going to come back in here, and instead of standing all the way, you're going to essentially hit the ground like this, same as your athletic stance, right there. Except I'm going to do a true plyometric out of it. Right, bad time. That's why I say the first 2 reps, you're working on coordination. So, boom. Big jump out of there. Should help you feel a little bit more explosive in different directions there. Okay? Single arm push. So when I'm talking single arm push jerk and lunge, I'm essentially just doing a 1-arm clean with it, bringing it to my shoulder. I can either catch it here and then do the lunge, or just straight into the lunge, and then I'm popping it up there. I'm not doing a shoulder press. Okay, shoulder presses come on the other 2 days of the week. This day, I'm trying to be super explosive, so I pop it full body. I'm just catching it by dropping my hips and getting in a good lunge stance here, okay? You'll notice I'm leaned off to the side a little bit. That's because my shoulders are super tight from the 2 not very nice sports in the world for shoulders. And whatever football didn't do, wrestling finished off. So I get a lot of pitching up in here, but if I just go off to the side, I can work through it in a week or 2. It loosens itself up, I'm standing upright again. So you may find that for yourself. first few times you have to compensate a little bit. Compensating is okay as long as you give your body time to work through it at that light weight. And then start adding weight once you've actually got the straight up and down manly form. Okay? So let me